Hello my friends. Today you're going to listen to me rant about FIFA 22, mainly why I dislike it, from technical aspects to gameplay to SJW and feminist influence. Gaming journalists won't talk about it. There was mainly praise for this game from a brain-dead press, so enjoy my controversial opinions. For the past 3 years I bought the PC version of this game and I've been playing FIFA on and off for more than 20 years. I will start with saying that I actually had a childhood where we were playing outside a lot and we were playing a lot of football. Then personal computers came when I was like 10, and so I discovered virtual football at a local internet cafe, because I was too poor and couldn't afford a good computer at home. Back then I enjoyed it, but I imagined what will football games be like in the future, like 10-20 years later. Will we be able to roleplay in a complex way by taking control of a team's fate through the seasons? And we got that, but we also got extra stuff, like role-playing and individual player's career, and you can even retire that player later and become a coach to then take control of a team. We're looking at 1,000 hours gameplay potential. The ultimate team, where you can make your own team out of existing or historical legendary players and face others in an online multiplayer experience. We also have a different type of gameplay with Volta Street Football, women's teams. Sounds great, well, on paper at least. In reality, we have an EA game, a megacorp product that is unfinished and stitched together so that it's functional enough by the time of the yearly release deadline. This year they came up with some new technology called hypermotion, which sounds like a fancy marketing term to justify another yearly purchase. If I was 10, maybe this game would do, but I'm over 30 and I've seen the evolution of gaming and I am disappointed by the fact that we could have had so much more. This is the feeling that I get for most games, unfortunately, so it's not like I'm a FIFA-only hater. I hate everyone equally, even FIFA's rival PES, which did an almost nice job with PES 2021 update, only to blow all that progress away with this new bare-bones eFootball they just released. So what are the objective problems that I have with FIFA 22? I'm a single-player adventurer. I like to see what the game has to offer to a basement dweller who wants to be on his own without a multiplayer. I want to see what the game has to offer in terms of immersion. For this, FIFA 22 offers the usual stuff: career mode, tournaments, and a practice arena. Oh, and the Volta Football, of course, a game mode that I absolutely don't care about and I wish they would concentrate all their budget to the main game instead. But I heard that in the Volta Football you can play street football and also have special powers like in Rocket League. So if that's what you're into, you're better off playing Rocket League. Career mode. My friend since I was a teenager in 2007. How much you have evolved in all the wrong ways, like a deformed mutant. Okay, perhaps I'm exaggerating. I mean, it's alright if you are some kind of zombie on Soma from the Brave New World.
Are you happy?
Happiness for all is happiness for each.
Are you glad to be Deltas?
Deltas all have lots of fun. Deltas get to play and run.
Very good.
The game tries to make you feel like you are running the club through many of the boring things that the club does in real life, which are weekly trainings and post-match interviews with the press. The problem with these trainings is that after a few times of doing them, you'll end up just pressing the Simulate All button or Quick Sim. Sometimes there are a lot of trainings before a match, so you'll have to do a lot of skipping, a lot of extra unnecessary button pressing, which I do not consider an evolution. Sure, training modes are cool, but there needs to be a different system, one that does not intervene with the main gameplay. Something optional that you could just go and do if you're pissed at your skills after an awful defeat and want to get better at the things that you suck, and without those challenge time trainings. Not everything has to be a challenge or an achievement or a stupid green bar that you fill, but that's what this game is, sadly. It's all about filling those green bars and not about your enjoyment of just playing the game. The problem with post-match interviews is that after a while you start noticing lines repeating, so when you notice that, you'll just skip them like you do with the trainings. You of course have the option to not participate in the post-match interview, but participating has the positive effect on your teams and individual player morale by filling that green bar with your choices, so therefore you want to participate in it to make sure that your guys aren't sad. These reply choices, sometimes I notice that they all have a positive effect, so then what's the point of choosing anyway in that case? So instead of adding to the immersion, this just becomes another chore to fill a green bar. Do you see a problem? This is EA's game design. Lock the player in chores to fill green bars. A hamster wheel philosophy instead of keeping me in their world to play hundreds of hours with the beauty and atmosphere of the game. Now, who wants that in 2021? Well, maybe Red Dead Redemption 2, when you're not following the yellow main mission line all the time. That game is beautiful when you just go on your own through the mountains, either fishing or hunting, and just feel the atmosphere. Look at the landscape, and you look at the clock, and it's way too late, and no one forced you to waste that time through filling stupid green bars. But instead, you spend that time inspired by the beauty of the game world that took years to make. By no means I'm comparing these games of completely different genres, but I'm comparing the philosophy of the developers, a product designed with care over many years, versus a game released every year with copy-paste development tactics. How you transfer players feels okay. I like the negotiation aspect of being able to delegate someone to do it for you. There are things that I like, except the end transfer window where you have to keep pressing to continue the last hours of transfer negotiations. You have to click for time to pass for only like 20 times. Completely useless. I like the little news stories, how commentators talk about the achievements of a player during the game, or who will influence the game, but I think that can also be improved. See, before most games start, the commentators talk about the player who scored the most goals. Why can't they also talk about a player with the most assists, or a goalkeeper who kept many clean sheets, or a defender? Say something more individual oriented, like, "This left back is one of the best in the league. He not only has shown great tackles, but he has the best passing success rate in the league, and he managed to also score 6 goals this season, 5 of them with his head from corners, and 1 from a beautiful long shot in their last game that we all can remember. It was a beautiful finesse shot." You think it's impossible to program something like this? It's very possible, my friends. If you spend 5 years in development and get passionate people working on the project and not just deadline slaves. Do you think a creative person wants to work for a slave factory like EA under the conditions that are set now? What is creative about a game interface that hasn't been changed from year to year? I accidentally opened FIFA 21 instead of 22, and for about 30 minutes I fooled myself thinking I was playing FIFA 22. I was wondering where did my save files go to. And then I face-palmed when I realized that it was FIFA 21 that I was playing. The actual football gameplay is also very similar to the past FIFA games, and so I didn't realize I was playing an old version. In FIFA 22, the hypermotion technology was only applied to the next-gen consoles and not to the personal computer players. And I don't understand why, because a PC is very capable to withstand that kind of computation. I don't understand all this recent hate towards PC players. It seems like everyone these days is orienting their development to satisfy the needs of console players, and only then transform it so that it can be played on the PC. It's ridiculous. It's almost as if they don't acknowledge that PC is master race. I'm not going to buy a machine that I can use only to play video games on, when I can play those same games on a machine that is superior technologically and also allows me to mod those games, and also the fact that I can do a bunch of other things and not just play video games. The possibilities are endless with a PC. It should be the other way around. Games developed first for the PC and then modified to work on consoles. After getting annoyed of the chores I have to do in coach career mode, I decided to relax with less chores in player career mode, which wouldn't be bad if not for the football gameplay. So what about the football gameplay itself? The philosophy of football that EA implements is one that has improved a little bit compared to past games. No longer you do only 3 passes to be within the chance to score a goal, but now you do 4 passes. All the other videos about FIFA 22 on YouTube say how you can only score goals now through construction and how sprint spam is gone, but in my experience, especially in multiplayer, it's how players do 4 passes and they have the goal opportunity. Then if a team recovers the ball, they quickly counterattack with 3 passes and are at the goal opportunity. Then if that team recovers the ball, they counterattack in similar fashion, and so on. In single player, during my coach career mode gameplay, I noticed how when I was trying to construct, sometimes all of the team would just run forward except for the back players. But still, I found myself having no one to pass to in the middle, and I wondered if it was a bug or something. In player career mode, the situation was better, and I found that playing for a team like Rangers involved a little bit more construction. The different teams that I faced didn't seem like they had any personality though, or individual tactics. There was no team that chilled out to construct anything, and the weaker teams would lose the ball so easily to my defenders, it was laughable. I saw almost no sliding tackles. The AI defenders seem like they are brain dead and don't go for it at all. All they do is kind of slowly follow the opponent and proceed to tackle softly, and this comes at a disadvantage with the stronger teams, which can just fly passes by them like nothing, especially close to the box. Also, the attacking AI for tougher difficulty modes has the habit of scoring perfect goals when you least expect it. I had matches when it was 0-0 for like 80 minutes, and then the AI scored an incredible goal or something like that, and then immediately after scoring that goal, they scored another goal in the same fashion. No scripting at all, guys. It's just natural mechanics, right? But this is more of an issue if you play career mode. If you control all the players yourself, then it's a different story. However, the problem of this game's football philosophy is closer more to games like pinball or handball, and it's really frustrating for someone who searches for a realistic football experience and not some arcade nonsense. The speed of EA's football is also ridiculous. Not so much time to think, but who needs to think? Just run forward and pass the ball. That's all you need to do, you hamster slave. Fill those green bars, get your achievements, and be happy. How can I be happy when you don't even spend time to do any of the actual faces of my Romanian league club? In fact, none of the players in the Romanian league have faces. What's the point of even having this league in the game then? I'm pretty sure a lot of Romanians buy this game every year to justify making this league and doing at least some player faces. Or do you think players are only interested to play as Real Madrid, Paris Saint-Germain and Bayern Munich? You are a football game with almost 30 years of history. I would have figured that by now you got your shit together and learn how to organize your resources in a way that you would be able to release a complete game. But no, you waste time building street football, Rocket League, and adding half-assed woman football to please the 2021 politics woke mob instead. The gaming journalists are so happy about that aspect, and there is nothing to be happy about. It's half-assed and lazy. If the main game is already half-assed, then how do you think this extra content will be? Anyway, back to player career mode. I played for Rangers for my first season, a team that battles for the first place in the Scottish League, with a player that is a promising star, has decent skills, has great potential for the future, and also is a Romanian. The son of Romanian legendary player Gheorghe Hagi. Yanis Hagi, a born playmaker. So the first season we won the league, I had a lot of assists and a lot of goals. I mostly play in world-class difficulty, and when I feel good I turn on legendary. After the first successful season, I said to myself, okay, I'm ready to play at a higher level club. So I asked the manager if I can be transferred, and he said no, because they need me and they can't let me go. I was okay, maybe I'll try again later. I actually like that aspect from a role-playing perspective. Halfway through the second season, with many assists and many hat-tricks under my belt due to the world-class low difficulty level. There's a problem I have with the difficulty levels. Legendary difficulty is pretty great. Like, I actually enjoyed playing. You have chances to have a final score of like 1-0 or 2-1 or something like that. But legendary difficulty also has a problem with the AI when he suddenly scores like a Superman some type of goals, like I mentioned before, and you don't really expect them, and it doesn't make sense from the flow of the game up until that point. He just starts scoring like 2 goals and the game is finished and you just wasted your time. Great. So yeah, I tried again because I was simply worth too much to play at this club. My player's worth was somewhere at about $50 million and he was worth 8-9 million when I started the game. This time they put me up for transfer and I was waiting for a solid offer, since in real life after such a constant and consistent performance, a big team from the most important leagues would have definitely knocked at the door. However, the offers I got were from 2nd League Spain, 2nd League England, 2nd League Germany, South American teams. It was annoying to hit all those reject options on those offers to get rid of them. What happened was the game didn't naturally simulate the situation, but instead just gave me offers for a new player. I would have loved to get those offers if I started with a player in the lower half of the Romanian league, proved myself in that, and then later being offered to play in the 2nd division of Spain. Sure, that would be a progress. But in this case, when I have an 83-84 rated player that scored chariots of goals for a respected league winner in Scotland, to not receive any offer from at least the second half of the table in Italy or England or France makes no sense, as a substitution at least. Is this lazy development, or does the game just want you to grind more, no matter your performance, just to spend more time in their game? At this point, after spending 100 hours in the game with decent performance, I felt let down by the game and regretted my purchase once again. I also gave a chance to some multiplayer experience, but not Ultimate Team. I chose to play Pro Clubs with a good friend of mine. It's pretty good as a concept. You design your own player and are part of the same team with your friends. A team that you can design tactically and compete with through the divisions with other teams. As soon as I noticed that I can select a female player, I knew something was wrong with this game mode. You can even select a man player, but then give him the most feminine looking haircut you can think of. You just can't escape 2021 politics in anything these days. So imagine playing this multiplayer experience with the EA's football gameplay mechanics of pinball. Losing because you're not so good at this 4-pass rush spam, or you're not good at the finesse shot from outside the box exploit bug that also exists at the launch of this game. Then seeing that the player who scores against you is a man with curly hair, or a woman with pink hair that looks like she got out of a feminist club, or a Barbie doll with the name Hot Babe on her back. And these are not girl players or non-binaries playing these characters, it's mostly men playing this game, and a lot of us want to feel like we're playing in the men's leagues. But in pro clubs by default, even if let's say only 2 players are controlled by real users, the other players in the team will be randomized by the AI to be half men, half woman, or something like that. You have to go to your team yourself and put the players as strictly men if you want that, but it shouldn't be like this. At most it should be that you can go and modify the men team if you want to replace with females, but have your opponents still see them as males and have a special option somewhere to enable female FIFA mode if they want to see them. I know it makes me look like a dick in the 2021 modern world, but that's how I think, and that's how many of us think. It's not us who are forcing our way of life onto you, it is you who are forcing your way of life onto our world. You did it in Battlefield, another let's say man space, in a game where you offer the possibility to have female soldier characters on the front lines of World War II. And that didn't go so well, with large scandals amongst gamers and many dislikes on the trailers. Now you're doing the same thing in this football game. Oh well, thanks EA for being politically correct where it's completely unnecessary. I would suggest to make a second game based on female football. Call it FIFA Woman or something and do it properly with female leagues and their faces perhaps, accurate gameplay to how women play the sport, not saying to make it much weaker, it's just that there are different tactics in that field and they need to be accurately represented if they want to go down that pathway. Putting it not even half-baked in the main FIFA game that only has 1 year of copy-paste development with minor modifications makes no sense. It only cripples the game further, not only in the eyes of the main man player base, but only in the eyes of the SJWs who ask for these things. But maybe they know that the SJWs don't even play the game in the first place. So, how would I summarize this game? How would I rate this game? I would summarize it as an either piece of incompetence or a piece of planned brainwash. In the incompetent scenario, it would be that the game is broken. They just can't do more. This is what these new generation of developers know how to make, in accordance to the incompetent orders from their project manager or boss, which gets his orders to build something every year that brings money to the board of evil. That price tag, that is not justified, and that other games stay in development for 5 years to get it. In the brainwash scenario, it means that there is more than just the money and the inability to make a game. It means that these games are being done heartless in accordance to the psychological factors that make most people addicted to the game, like filling those green bars with mediocre content, simulating that feeling of getting somewhere, of progress, of achieving a goal, but making it in a way that disregards any meaningful content and replace that with filler content, repetitive crap that keeps the player in a loop for thousands of hours. Make it in an industry with Ultimate Team. Lock the player in there for an entire year. He doesn't need to play other games. The player just needs to be kept on the hamster wheel. Buy the game at full price every year, and why not buy some loot boxes and Ultimate Team on top of what you already paid for? They make you love your frustration after that. A lot of players won't be able to get to the divisions that they want, but still play the game, forever stuck paying for their continuous frustration. And being also programmed with some feminist SJW nonsense to fit in with the global agenda. So how much do I rate this game? 0 out of 10. Stop buying EA garbage and promote real game developers and companies that release products where you can feel some love, even if it doesn't have hypermotion or 100 lighting calculations going on at the same time for graphics. It's pointless to have the graphics if there is no gameplay. It's like having an HD 4K model of a giant turd. And they can't even make that right, with all kinds of glitches and bugs due to, again, not enough development time. There is no care, no love for the players, and no passion. There's no time for passion from a company like EA, only money and control. So, to conclude, don't support this crap. This is Vostok Vlad, signing out.
And it's gone in! Just what the doctor ordered. Things looking very bright for them.